When the world falls apart, and trust me, it will, it's not going to be your fancy gadgets, your overpriced gear, or some underground bunker that saves you. That's the Hollywood version of survival. Reality? It's a lot grittier. When the power grid dies, the shelves are stripped bare, and the world outside your door turns hostile. Survival comes down to the small, overlooked stuff. The cheap, everyday items you've probably got lying around right now. I'm talking about the things you'd never think twice about. Stuff buried in your junk drawer, shoved in the back of a cabinet, or forgotten in the garage. The things you'd probably toss out during a weekend declutter. But when you're cold, hungry, or trying to fix something with nothing, those items will be the difference between making it through or falling apart. This isn't about fear-mongering or blowing your paycheck on doomsday prep. It's about being smart. It's about recognizing what's truly valuable before the rest of the world catches on. Because when the lights go out and chaos comes knocking, these 7 dirt-cheap household items will be worth their weight in gold. Let's break it down before someone else beats you to it. 1. The survival power of plastic spray bottles. When the world as we know it crumbles, survival isn't about the flashy gear or the high-tech gadgets. It's about the simple, overlooked tools that let you adapt and do more with less. One of the most underrated items you probably already own? A plastic spray bottle. That cheap, everyday bottle sitting under your sink or in your cleaning closet could become one of the most versatile tools in your survival arsenal. Let's break it down. When sanitation systems fail, hygiene becomes a life-or-death priority. Without clean surfaces and proper disinfection, germs spread like wildfire. And when there's no running water, keeping things clean becomes a monumental challenge. But a spray bottle filled with diluted bleach, alcohol, or even vinegar turns into a portable disinfection system. You can clean food prep areas, sanitize tools, or even treat minor wounds with precision and efficiency. It's not glamorous, but it's effective. And in a collapse, that's all that matters. But the usefulness of a spray bottle doesn't stop at sanitation. Imagine a heat wave with no air conditioning. Your body is overheating and there's no relief in sight. A quick mist of water to your face, neck, or underarms can be life-saving, especially for vulnerable individuals like children or the elderly. It's a simple solution to a deadly problem. And if you're rationing water, a spray bottle stretches your supply, turning a few liters into days of cooling relief. Need a makeshift hygiene setup? Fill a spray bottle with water, and you've got a portable hand-washing station. Use it to rinse your hands, clean cooking utensils, or even take a quick field shower. It's a game changer when water is scarce and every drop counts. And here's a survival hack most people don't think about: fire starting. Fill a spray bottle with alcohol or another accelerant, and you've got a tool for igniting fires in wet or windy conditions. It's not something you'll use every day, but when you need it, you'll be glad you have it. Spray bottles can even serve as animal deterrents. Fill one with a strong-smelling solution like ammonia, vinegar, or essential oils, and spray it around your camp to keep pests and wildlife at bay. And let's not forget their barter value. In a world without Clorox wipes or hand sanitizer, a working spray bottle filled with disinfectant becomes a high-value trade item. People will trade food, tools, or even medicine for the ability to stay clean and safe. My setup? I keep at least 3 spray bottles in my gear. One for hygiene, one for disinfection, and one for specialty uses like fire starting or pest control. Each one is labeled, cleaned, and stored dry until needed. So the next time you're about to toss out an old spray bottle, think twice. Because when the grid goes down and chaos takes over, the person with a spray bottle isn't just surviving, they're thriving. 2. The hidden utility of a steel nail file. Most people see a steel nail file as nothing more than a grooming tool, a small, forgettable item tossed in a bathroom drawer. But in a survival scenario, that same nail file transforms into a multifunctional piece of gear that punches far above its weight. It's compact, lightweight, and incredibly versatile, making it an essential addition to any prepper's kit. Let's start with its most obvious use: precision scraping. Whether you're trying to strike a spark from a ferro rod, clean corroded battery terminals, or scrape off rust from a tool, the abrasive surface of a steel nail file gives you the control you need. Ever tried to get a fire going with a dull blade or a clunky tool? A nail file makes the process smoother and more efficient, saving you time and frustration when every second counts. But that's just the beginning. A steel nail file can also serve as an emergency blade sharpener. No, it's not a replacement for a proper whetstone, but it's more than capable of restoring a dull knife or multi-tool to usable condition. And in a survival situation, even a slightly sharper blade can make a world of difference. Whether you're cutting rope, preparing food, or defending yourself, A sharp edge is a critical asset. Now let's talk about first aid. A clean, sterilized nail file can be used to grind down splinters, remove calloused skin, or even cut gauze in a pinch. It's not ideal, but survival isn't about ideal. It's about making do with what you have. And if you're trained in lockpicking, a steel nail file can even help you open locks or pry open stuck compartments. It's a small tool with big potential. And here's the kicker: barter value. In a world where tools are scarce and gear breaks down, a simple nail file becomes a high-demand item. Show up with one of these when someone's knife is dull, their battery contacts are corroded, or their gear is jammed, and you've got a powerful trade chip. People will offer food, batteries, or even medical supplies just to fix what you can with that tiny tool. My setup? I carry 2 steel nail files. One stays with my hygiene kit because, yes, nail health still matters when infection can kill. The other is in my repair pouch, ready for gear maintenance or scraping work. Both are wrapped in cloth to keep them clean and dry. So the next time you see a nail file at the dollar store, grab a few. Because when your knife is dull, your gear is failing, and your hands are bleeding, that little file will feel like a lifesaver. 3. The tactical advantage of an old-school alarm clock. In today's world, we rely on our phones for everything: time, alarms, schedules. But what happens when the grid goes down, your phone dies, and there's no app to wake you up? That's when an old-school alarm clock becomes a survival tool you never knew you needed. It's simple, reliable, and doesn't care if the power's out. Why is this important? Because in a collapse, structure is everything. Without a sense of time, days blur together, and people lose focus. Morale drops, mistakes happen, and survival becomes infinitely harder. An alarm clock brings discipline to the chaos. It keeps you on schedule, whether it's for watch rotations, cooking, or boiling water. It ensures you wake up before sunrise to move under the cover of darkness or track how long someone's been unconscious after an injury. Timing isn't just a convenience, it's a survival necessity. And let's not forget the psychological impact. The steady ticking of an old-school clock, the sound you used to ignore or even hate, becomes a source of comfort. It's a reminder that something is still working, still reliable. In a world of uncertainty, that consistency can be a powerful morale booster. Now let's talk trade value. Imagine showing up to a group where no one has slept well for days. They've missed guard rotations, burnt food, and lost track of time. You pull out a working alarm clock, and suddenly, you're the most valuable person in the room. That clock isn't just a tool, it's order, control, and peace of mind. People will trade almost anything for that kind of stability. My setup? I keep 2 clocks, one wind-up and one battery-powered. Both are tested, wrapped in cloth to protect them during transport, and ready to go. They weigh almost nothing but provide an anchor in a world spinning out of control. So when your phone dies and the nights feel endless, will you have time on your side? Or will time be one more thing you've lost? Because in a collapse, the person who controls time controls everything else. 4. The survival edge of a shower loofah. A shower loofah? Really? That fluffy, colorful scrubber hanging in your bathroom might seem like the last thing you'd think of when preparing for a collapse. But here's the reality. In a survival situation, that little mesh sponge transforms from a bathroom extra into a multifunctional tool that can keep you clean, healthy, and ahead of the game. It's not just about staying fresh, it's about staying alive. Let's start with the basics: hygiene. When society crumbles, it's not bullets or starvation that take people out first, it's infection. Poor hygiene leads to skin infections, rashes, and even life-threatening diseases. A loofah becomes your secret weapon for staying clean when water is scarce. Why? Because it's incredibly efficient. A loofah lathers soap quickly, spreads it evenly, and rinses off with minimal water. That means you can stretch a small amount of soap and water much further, keeping yourself clean without wasting precious resources. But the loofah's usefulness doesn't stop at personal hygiene. It's also a fantastic tool for cleaning gear. Whether it's scrubbing mud off your boots, cleaning grime from cookware, or wiping down tools, the loofah gets the job done without wearing out like cloth rags. Its mesh design is durable, dries quickly, and resists bacteria buildup, making it a reliable cleaning companion in the field. Now let's talk about its role in water filtration. Imagine you're collecting water from a questionable source, maybe a muddy stream or a rain barrel filled with debris. A clean loofah can act as a makeshift pre-filter, removing large particles like leaves, dirt, and bugs before the water hits your main filter or boiling pot. It's not a replacement for proper filtration, but it's a critical first step that can save your gear and buy you time. And then there's the psychological factor. After days of stress, dirt, and discomfort, a quick scrub with a loofah can do wonders for your morale. It's not just about feeling clean, it's about feeling human again. That small act of self-care can reset your mindset and keep you focused when everything else feels overwhelming. What about barter value? In a world where hygiene products are scarce, a sealed, clean loofah becomes a high-demand item. Imagine trading one for medicine, food, or even ammunition. People will pay a premium for the comfort and utility it provides. My setup? I keep one loofah vacuum-sealed in every hygiene kit. It takes up almost no space, weighs next to nothing, and is always ready when I need it. I also carry extras in my trade bag because I know their value will skyrocket when the collapse hits. So the next time you see a loofah at the dollar store, grab a few. Because when water is scarce, soap is running low, and infection is lurking, the person with a loofah isn't just surviving, they're thriving. 5. The versatility of clothespins in survival. Clothespins. They're simple, cheap, and often overlooked. Most people think of them as nothing more than a tool for hanging laundry. But in a survival scenario, these little clips become one of the most versatile and valuable items you can have. When the grid goes down and modern conveniences disappear, clothespins step up in ways you'd never expect. Let's start with their most obvious use, drying clothes. In a world without washers and dryers, keeping your clothes dry becomes a matter of survival. Wet clothes lead to hypothermia, mold, and skin infections. Clothespins let you hang your gear anywhere, between trees, across shelter poles, or even inside a vehicle. They keep your clothes secure, even in windy conditions, ensuring you don't lose critical items like socks or jackets. But drying clothes is just the beginning. Clothespins are incredible for organizing gear. Use them to clip medical gloves to a wall, attach notes to a group message board, or label bags with colored tags. In a multi-person group, they can even serve as silent communication tools. Pinning updates, assignments, or warnings in visible areas keeps everyone informed without the need for shouting or drawing attention. Hygiene is another area where clothespins shine. Hang toothbrushes, razors, or towels off the ground to keep them clean and dry. In a survival situation, where disease spreads quickly, keeping your hygiene tools off dirty surfaces can make a huge difference. And if you're dealing with limited space, clothespins let you maximize your drying and storage options without taking up valuable room in your pack. Now let's talk about their role as emergency clamps. Need to secure a wound dressing? Clamp a tarp to your shelter? Seal a bag of supplies? Clothespins can handle it. They're lightweight, reusable, and surprisingly strong. Wooden clothespins even double as fire starters. Break them down, and you've got kindling that ignites quickly and burns hot. Perfect for when you're out of fuel. And then there's their barter value. In a collapse, people will trade for anything that makes life easier. Show up with a bag of clothespins when someone's struggling to dry their clothes, organize their gear, or secure their shelter, and you've got a valuable trade item. My setup? I carry a mix of 30 clothespins, 15 wooden and 15 heavy-duty plastic. They're stored in a small zip pouch divided between my hygiene kit, trade bag, and camp setup. They're silent, lightweight, and endlessly reusable. So, are clothespins just for laundry? Not even close. When the world falls apart, it's not the flashy gear that saves you. It's the simple, adaptable tools that let you do more with less. And clothespins? They're the unsung heroes of survival. 6. The survival versatility of heavy-duty zip bags. When it comes to survival, it's not just about stockpiling food or building fires. It's about protecting what you have and making it last. That's where heavy-duty zip storage bags come in. These aren't your flimsy sandwich bags that tear at the first sign of stress. We're talking about thick, freezer-grade, gallon-sized zip bags that can handle pressure, movement, and extreme conditions without giving out. In a collapse, these bags become more than just storage. They're your portable survival infrastructure. Let's start with food preservation. In a world where rodents, moisture, and contamination are constant threats, zip bags are a game changer. You can portion out dry goods like rice, beans, oroates, seal them airtight, and store them without the need for bulky containers. Add an oxygen absorber or vacuum seal them if you're prepared, and you've just doubled the shelf life of your food. It's a simple, effective way to ensure your supplies last longer and stay safe from the elements. But food isn't the only thing these bags protect. Think about your medical supplies. In a survival scenario, rain, dirt, and blood can ruin your first aid gear in seconds. By storing trauma kits, gauze, antibiotics, and water purification tablets in zip bags, you create a waterproof grab-and-go system. Label each bag for easy access. Burn care, wound treatment, hydration tablets, and you've got a mobile medical kit that's ready for anything. Now, let's talk about electronics. A headlamp, spare batteries, or a power bank is useless if it gets wet. A heavy-duty zip bag can keep your electronics dry and functional, even in the worst conditions. Want to go a step further? Wrap your electronics in foil before sealing them in a zip bag, and you've got a makeshift Faraday cage to protect against EMPs. It's a small step that could save your gear when the grid goes down. Need to transport water but don't have a canteen? A sturdy zip bag can act as a temporary water bladder. It's not ideal, but it works in a pinch. You can even boil water in one by wrapping it in foil and using indirect heat. It's a survival hack that might sound crazy until you're thirsty and out of options. Zip bags also shine when it comes to fire starting. Store your fire kit, matches, cotton balls, a striker, in a sealed bag, and it'll stay dry no matter what. Whether you're caught in a rainstorm or crossing a river, you'll have the tools you need to start a fire when others don't. And let's not forget hygiene. Use zip bags to store soap, toothpaste, and razors without cross-contamination. Got dirty gear or biohazard waste? Seal it in a bag to keep it separate from your clean supplies. They're even handy as emergency vomit bags or for containing waste when you're on the move. Finally, there's the barter value. In a world where supplies are constantly getting ruined by water, pests, or poor storage, a clean, heavy-duty zip bag becomes a high-demand item. People will trade food, fuel, or even ammunition for the ability to protect their gear. My setup? I carry at least 25 gallon-sized zip bags in every bug-out kit. They're stored flat, wrapped in rubber bands, and labeled for quick use. They weigh almost nothing but replace bulky containers and provide waterproofing in a pinch. So ask yourself, are you packing tools that adapt and protect, or are you leaving your gear vulnerable? Because when the collapse hits, the person with zip bags isn't just surviving. They're preserving, protecting, and thriving. 7. The tactical genius of silicone stretch lids. Silicone stretch lids might not be the first thing that comes to mind when you think of survival gear, but these flexible, reusable covers are a game changer in a world where every resource counts. When the containers crack, the plastic warps, or the lids vanish, silicone stretch lids step in to seal the deal. Literally, they're not just a kitchen hack. They're a survival tool that can save food, water, and even your sanity when the world falls apart. Let's start with their most obvious use, sealing food. In a survival scenario, every scrap of food matters. Whether you're rationing beans in a metal bowl, storing leftover rice, or protecting boiled water from dust and flies, silicone lids provide an airtight seal. They stretch to fit almost any container, glass, metal, ceramic, or plastic, and keep your food fresh and safe from contamination. Unlike plastic wrap or foil, they're reusable, durable, and don't attract pests. That means less waste, less exposure, and less scent drifting into the air. A critical factor when you don't want to attract unwanted attention. But their usefulness doesn't stop at food. Silicone lids are incredibly versatile. Need to cover a pot of stew to keep it warm on a cold morning? Done. Want to seal a cracked jar to prevent leaks? No problem. They even work as temporary patches for survival tins, or as makeshift lids for odd-shaped containers. Their ability to adapt to different sizes and shapes makes them an invaluable tool in any survival kit. Now let's talk about their durability. Silicone stretch lids are heat-resistant, cold-resistant, and non-toxic. They can handle boiling water, freezing temperatures, and repeated use without breaking down. Unlike disposable options, they're washable and reusable, making them a sustainable choice in a world where resources are limited. And because they're silent, no crinkling or tearing, they're perfect for stealthy operations where noise could give you away. What about weight? A full set of 6 silicone lids weighs less than a pair of socks, but gives you the ability to seal multiple containers. That's survival efficiency at its finest. And when it comes to storage, they take up almost no space. Roll them up, stash them in your pack, and you're good to go. Now let's consider their barter value. In a collapse, when people are struggling to keep food fresh or water clean, a silicone lid becomes a high-value trade item. Show up with one of these when someone's stew is exposed to flies or their water is full of ash, and you've got leverage. People will trade medicine, fuel, or even tools for the ability to seal and protect their supplies. My setup? I carry 2 full sets of silicone stretch lids, one for personal use and one for barter. They're stored flat in my kitchen bag and rotated every few months to ensure they're in top condition. Because when the world goes quiet and every resource matters, the person who can seal, store, and protect their supplies isn't just surviving, they're leading. So ask yourself, are you prepared to protect what you have, or are you letting it spoil and slip away? Because in a survival scenario, the person with silicone stretch lids isn't just making do. They're making it work. Conclusion: the power of the overlooked. Survival isn't about the flashiest gear or the most expensive tools. It's about adaptability, resourcefulness, and making the most of what you already have. The 7 household items we've covered: plastic spray bottles, steel nail files, old-school alarm clocks, shower loofahs, clothespins, heavy-duty zip bags, and silicone stretch lids might seem ordinary, even trivial in today's world. But when the collapse hits, these simple, cheap items will become priceless. Each of these tools offers something critical: versatility, efficiency, and the ability to solve problems when everything else fails. They're not just items, they're lifelines. They help you stay clean when hygiene is a matter of life and death. They protect your food, water, and gear when the elements threaten to destroy them. They give you the ability to adapt, improvise, and trade when resources are scarce. The truth is, survival isn't about who has the biggest bunker or the most stockpiles. It's about who can think ahead, spot value in the overlooked, and stay one step ahead of the chaos. These 7 items are proof that sometimes the smallest tools can make the biggest difference. So, take a second look at what's already in your home. Stock up on these essentials now while they're still cheap and easy to find. Because when the grid goes down, the shelves are empty, and the world is scrambling for solutions, the person who prepared with the basics won't just survive, they'll thrive.